Hello, everybody. Yeah, today I'm bringing you not Call of Duty, not Halo, not Gears of War, not really a shooter. I'm bringing you Lego Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars. Now, well, yeah, as you saw in the top there, the Lego logo, I'm bringing you the Star Wars, The Clone Wars Lego game, but the demo. It's not the actual retail version of it. But I will be doing a walkthrough and strategic guide on that when it does come out, which I believe is in late March 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. Now, this is part 1 of part 2 of 2 parts, and today we'll be destroying the Malevolence. Now, if you already know what happens, which I'll explain later in 1 second, hold on, let me guess the one thing I had to talk about. Now, I'll be dividing this into 3 parts, this demo, and the game when it comes out. First, it will be a walkthrough of my impressions and thoughts. Second, there will be a strategic guide, and third and lastly, a review. Yeah, so 3 different types of things for the demo, but not only the demo, but the game itself. Now, there's only 2 paragraphs here, but to make it short and sweet, basically Padme and C-3PO go to General Grievous' ship. They get the wrong coordinates, and what happens is General Grievous realizes that he uses them, as it says in the second paragraph, as bargaining chips, so essentially they can escape there alive. Hopefully. We'll see. I'm not going to give any spoilers. And once again, the main characters, how it usually rolls out, the main characters have to save and help Amidala and escape there alive as well on the ship that's burning in flames. So let's watch this quick cutscene. Now we are on the Malevolence, trying to find and escape with Queen Amidala, trying to rescue her. Now, first thing you will realize is the amazing graphics. This game is extremely polished as opposed to the other previous Star Wars Lego games, and on top of that, you actually feel like you're holding a lightsaber in your hand, which is amazing, extraordinary. And on top of that, you see there, the swings there are so fluid, and it feels a lot better. Now, I can't really explain in words how that is better, the lightsaber swing as opposed to, say, in a previous game. Only thing I could really say, like with Qui-Gon swinging his lightsaber sword around in the first Star Wars game, Lego Star Wars game, or the second. But just as an example, it's a lot more stiff, the swings, but in this game it's actually a lot more fluid, smooth. Overall it makes you feel like you're an actual Jedi in a way, as opposed to, say, The Force Unleashed 2, which doesn't really make me. Now, just a quick thing I wanted to say, just briefly, is that this game and demo, demo and game, I'm sure, are just, extraordinary. It's well worth, I'm sure, the buy, the $50, or at least the rent, because, you can't live on The Force Unleashed 2 and, enjoy playing that game so many times before you get bored. And there, unfortunately, I fall to my death, but this is where we really get to see how we use the Force. Only for a second there, but if you saw there closely, you can actually use the Force in different ways by actually holding the Force, using the battle droid to shoot other droids, if you look there closely. Now, not only on top of all these new features, but you have the lightsaber swing, which you saw earlier, and on top of that, to add on to the realism, each character gets their own type of swing, so to speak. Yeah, swing and posture or, you know, pose when they're holding lightsaber, which, you know, adds on to the realism and the whole cool fun effect. And when you have new features as opposed to other games, you know, other previous Lego Star Wars games, features, realism, polishedness, great graphics, you know, when you have all this stuff, it makes for a great Lego Star Wars game. Now, if you look closely, or not if you look closely, stop saying that, but yeah, you see how Obi-Wan as opposed to Anakin have different postures, you know, when they hold the lightsaber on different swings. Well, that's one of the things I'm talking about when I mean, you know, the different postures and overall just, you know, they each have their own uniqueness, which is, you know, very important there. That was funny. Nice fail for a walkthrough. Yeah, you know, they each have their own uniqueness, which adds to the, you know, fun of the game. You know, when I was swinging, I was pressing X just to, you know, destroy those battle droids. I didn't feel like I was destroying battle droids. I mean, I did, but I felt like I was actually, you know, controlling lightsaber in the way you could say. Now, I said I would go over the tricky parts in the beginning. Now, that purple thing with electricity, that's one of the tricky parts. Now, the downside to this demo, just to make it more general, is that this will actually still, if you're playing this for the first time, you'll have a tricky part. I mean, not a tricky part, but you'll have a tough time with this game as opposed to the previous games, because they actually do make it a lot harder. Now, I'll say this in my review, this game is not a game for kids or, you know, 5-year-olds. I'm not saying that in an offensive way. I mean, don't take that personal, but it's true. This is a tricky game. The first time I played it, it took me probably about, I would say, you know, pretty sad, you know, well, 10 minutes for me to do this, or 5 minutes for me to figure out how to do this. So I was swinging to the other side as opposed to, you know, I was moving that crane everywhere but where I first had to pick up that, I guess, part of the train, or monorail, whatever you want to call it. One of the parts later on, which I'll explain later, actually took me about like half an hour to do. But once you get the first time, it's actually really easy. The total amount of this first mission took me about 20-25 minutes in total, not going through the, I think they're called, I'm not sure, you know, the little mini token money things. And here's our second cutscene here. Mini cutscene. Yeah, so now we're unfortunately divided, but you know, having, now this is another tricky part. I'm sorry, I'm sidetracking myself here. This is a little tricky part. This took me a little bit of time. Now, another new feature, you see on the top right, there's a little green circle with a picture of Anakin and electricity flowing. Now, that is a new feature that they have where if you hold Y, you'll actually be able to switch characters. And I read this from, or watched one of the videos. They said that a lot of times you'll actually be, what was it? A lot of times you'll be, the characters, main characters would be doing, you know, multitasking, doing stuff simultaneously, you know, doing their own thing. Now, this is a new feature that has never been, you know, done before, and I just feel like they have actually put a lot of effort and thought into the game, and overall it'll be a good game. Now, I know this is like a review here. I'm not trying to get so reviewish in a way. Here's a nice transition. But yeah, as I was saying before, or one thing I wanted to add on to what I was saying before about these puzzles, I guess you could say, being a little tricky, is that it helps me tremendously to go back and play the previous game. So if you haven't and you're looking to play the demo and have not played the demo or want to play the game, when it comes out, you should, I highly recommend you actually, I highly recommend you actually play the game, because when you go back and play the controls, you kind of familiarize yourself with everything that's going on, and it helps you get through this better, because I was actually having a tough time with the controls, believe it or not. Now, if you saw what I just did there before, which, you know, was killing C-3PO, moving with the Force, that's something you really want to do when you have a problem where he's on one leg. Now, this part 1 is wrapping up, and enjoy the finishing cutscene.